Good afternoon and welcome. So I hope it's after lunch or before lunch for some of you, so thank you for all being here. Just a quick introduction for those who don't know Polpharma. We are the largest pharma company in Poland, the largest pharma company in Kazakhstan, and all in between we sell our products. We're vertically integrated generics company with a sister company doing biosimilars and also an innovative sister doing two innovative products. Myself, I love technology, but I will today not talk about technology. I will talk about people. I will talk about company culture and about the readiness of organizations as I see it, or I see it in Polpharma. I structured in three elements. First of all, why does AI really matter for us, and what is the state of AI in larger organizations? Secondly, how we as Polpharma address it. And third, then some results of our implementation, some business cases which we have implemented or are implementing, and then obviously some learnings out of it. Now, if we talk about culture, I think we have three elements which are for us really important. First of all, it's really an openness for innovation. You cannot implement AI if your environment, your employees are not open for innovation. And how do you foster that in a large organization? Secondly, a continuous learning, which is really important. I have still a dream for my organization to become a learning organization where everybody learns from everybody. And we're on a way to get there, but it's a long journey, I tell you. And obviously also to adapt traditional processes. Obviously, we will align the AI strategy to the business strategy. But the organization itself has to change. It has to transform. And I think that's the biggest mindset shift which we have to achieve. In this context, when you look at some studies, you see that only 1% of the companies have really a clear AI strategy. And secondly, also, 15% of the employees only agreed to it. While 48% of employees in some organizations are using AI, only a very small part of it is really trained on it. Also in our case, our employees use Copilot, they use ChatGPT implementations, but are they really trained? Are they really getting the most out of it in this context? Now, I think there are some important issues to be addressed before you even start thinking about implementing AI. First of all, it needs a strong leadership from the top, and which also means that your senior leaders have to be trained in AI. What it means, and they have to continuously update it, what's really happening and what can be done. What we try is to really share in the pharma space what we can do. We share business cases to really learn from each other what we can do. And I think they also have to actively participate. You cannot just delegate AI to your digital or AI team. It has to be a combined discussion between business and digital, and obviously also an implementation on the IT side. And last but not least, you need the right talent to grow AI in your organization. And I think that's something we're all faced today, that's not enough talent around which we have to bring in. Therefore, we have to train our employees and create the talent ourselves to a certain extent. Now, AI without data, is basically like a menu without the main dish, right? Without data, we can't do anything, especially in large organizations. Yes, employees can use Copilot, but if I want to have an end-to-end process, AI optimized or AI driven, then I need data. And here, in this we call a data first strategy. So you need in your organization data first. You need to establish the right data architecture, the right data governance, and this takes time. So data is a strategic asset, or has become a strategic asset now, while we have predictive analytics, while we have AI, machine learning. I think this is really important, and we have to invest into a very strong data infrastructure internally. Because when you look into the organizations today, you see that most of those implementations, 50% of AI implementations fail because data is not sound, is not right structured, doesn't have the right quality. And this is a big issue which you have to address, and this takes years, most likely in companies, to get to that stage. Obviously, also we have challenges to operationalize it. Do we have the right structures in our company, the right mindset? Can we really drive teams multi-departmental, or are we still working in silos? Very big questions for large organizations. And obviously also, again, the last point is talent shortage. Now, again, you will see some data which confirms this data quality. Now, when you talk to people about the quality of your data and that you have to invest to it, there is no business case, right? Because you invest into your data quality, into your data architecture, and your data management systems, but there is no business case. So this is an investment you make in advance of deploying basically AI solutions or AI business cases on top of it. And this is a strategic investment which every single company has to do. We're doing it right now, and it costs money to get to this stage where you can really then deploy in a larger scale AI solutions. I think the biggest issue is also that you get the wrong answers from large language models if you supply them data which is not complete or not sound. And this really you need to understand before you start investing into such solutions. Now, what I think you have to do, and we started doing that, you need an understanding and a cooperation between all the departments which could, at the end of the day, be involved. I'll give you one example from our company. As you know, we're a generic company, so we basically sell a lot of different products, also cold and flu. And what we're actually doing, we're constantly monitoring the map of Poland, for example, for the Polish market, and see, okay, where are we have the influenza and flu outbreaks? This immediately kicks on our predictive models, which say, hey, we have more demand coming because we know from the past how these, influencers, how they grow. So we know now we need more product in the market. And as we have 5 large factories in Poland, can produce ourselves most of the products, we can kick on the machine, start producing and supplying to the market. But now we have just talked about 4 or 5 different departments working together, right? From people which look into the market, people which are doing the supply chain, people which do production, and then the distribution logistics. So I think this means it's really an end-to-end relationship, and this only works if you have the right data architecture and the right structures. Again, and you will see on every single slide, learning and investments into a learning infrastructure and a continuous learning process is key to succeed, and also that you upskill your workforce. Now, what you see here is that only 6% think that they're really deployed today of the organization, this is from the United States, that they think they really have AI at scale. Only 31% think they have an AI strategy, and 17% clear policies. Also here, it's a very small amount of the companies that really are ready for AI in this context. Now, and this, by the way, if you see the reference at the bottom, is certain slides which are generated with ChatGPT, just to be honest. So it's not my laurels, it's just ChatGPT which generated this. But I think what it really means in terms of restructuring, and I'm really serious about that, we need an agile and cross-functional organization. Otherwise, we will not be able to deploy AI solutions at scale. Secondly, we think that we need a clear strategy. What do you want to achieve with AI? In which areas you really want to invest? Obviously, it's an iterative process because we learn while we walk, but at the end of the day, you still have to define what you want to achieve with it. And I think then the operating model, how you implement it, how you create those business cases, how you assess them. In our company, we have a rule of competition for resources, right? Because in every company, you have a cash flow of X millions, and you can say, okay, I can develop a new product, I can invest into a new factory, or I can invest into an AI process. So where do I get the best return, right? So I think, and this is exactly what we do on AI too. There's a lot of ideas, a lot of business cases, but we only invest there where we have the highest returns. And this normally is the more boring business cases and not the more advanced technologically, because there it's the more difficult to show the value. Now, I think you have two areas, and I come back to it again. It's never about technology. And I have started in IT in 1984 in the US and Switzerland, and I've been able. But as an economist, I always look at obviously investments with an eye to effectiveness, but without the right people. And I will show you what we are doing in terms of the people development. It doesn't really work. And secondly, it's really that you define where you want to go with AI. Where do you want to create your competitive advantage? Where you want to, and where and why you want to achieve your effectiveness, for example, in the industrial side, right? I will come to certain examples, and one of them, which I really like a lot, is a digital twin in industrial manufacturing. So we started about 2 years ago to use a digital twin and we're the last manufacturer of active ingredients in Poland, to produce these active ingredients. So we have basically a digital twin which through the process helps us improve yield management in these processes. And we learn constantly from this digital twin what we can do better in the real world. And these are applications which are extremely useful, and we obviously have hundreds of those workflows, so we have a large potential to improve. And I think, but here again, right, this is for us a survival to be competitive in terms of production, because we produce generics where you have high competition on price. So therefore, it's a strategic element. That's why I invest into exactly these technologies. And to finish this point about the continuous journey, for us, it must really also be measurable, right? Whatever you invest into, it has to have the right KPIs. Also, while you continue to deploy these models, you cannot just say, okay, I invested and now we have a great solution. No, constantly check, do we have the right returns, to monitor, to potentially adjust. I think that's really important that you look at these investments long term, because always that's also where the value comes from. Again, invest also into the training of your employees, the upskilling, and also basically on the continuous journey which we have. So it's not finished tomorrow, it's also not finished in 5 years. It will continuously improve what we can do, especially because of our data which we will have. Now, one element obviously is the whole legal and ethical side, right? And I'm not only talking about data protection, GDPR and other rules we have in business to protect the data of our employees, or in general, personal data. I think it's also about the ethical standards. Who actually supervises what you do with AI? Who actually at the end of the day looks that we have certain biases which are in our data. I'll give you one example. In clinical trials, globally, the majority of all clinical trials are done with white males. So you would say, okay, so where are the women? They're very, very very small produced or represented in these trials, just historically how they were done, right? Also, you don't have any other ethnic background people in it, so I think it really makes it difficult. And I think that somebody has to adjust, right? And I think this is something where the industry is waking up, especially on the innovative side. Secondly, I think you need transparency, what really happens with your data, or with the data of people and in general. And I think I cannot say it enough, a human oversight, that you really know if things are changed, processes are changed. Because obviously also in our case, it can have an impact on the quality of a product. You need to have a human oversight, what really is proposed and then implemented. Now this was just to set the stage. to tell you what we do at Polpharma, because I only talked about the market. And first of all, we have a digital strategy, and our digital strategy has basically 5 elements. First of all, we want to unlock growth potential in our group through digital. We want to future-proof our business. We want to really be long-term here, and I think our company this year has its 90th birthday. It's 90 years Polpharma, and hopefully we have another, 90 years in front of us. I think we need a competitive advantage, right? Especially on the generic and OTC industry, I think the competition is high. It's a global industry, although I can say that Poland has a very strong local industry, which I think we're thankful for, also because we get the right support from our environment. We want to be the best employer in the pharma space, and we want also be recognized as a digital leader. I think this becomes more and more important when you talk about the patient, right? Because we, at the end of the day, have only one purpose. We want to help people live a healthy life in a healthy world, which is our purpose. So we really want to help prevent before somebody gets sick. We want to help him to stay longer healthy. And we're obviously also selling vitamins, food supplements, and other drugs, which can help, also on the cardiovascular side, help you stay healthy. And therefore, I think it's important when you think about solutions which touch the patients. I'm giving you one example. Compliance in the cardiovascular side, everybody that you take every day your tablet for your blood thinner or blood pressure and so forth. I think it's important that these solutions can help people to have a better life. So therefore, we want to be recognized also on digital as a trusted leader. Now, I talked a lot about training and our employees. So what are we doing internally to include our employees in AI and in digital? And we have here 3 solutions. One is we have a learning organization approach. We have a learning campus, which we have, where a lot of digital offerings for training. And this came out also after COVID, where we invest a lot in COVID into free training for everybody. We invested, and this now became a campus, an online campus. Secondly, I think we have a digital community. That's what I'm a little bit proud of, because 2016, when I took over, I thought we need to digitize the company. And then how can you do this? Are you pushing solutions down, or you take time and you invest into the motivation of your teams that they really want digital, that they want new solutions? That's what we did. And we created, in basically 18 months, a community of 1,000 of the 4,000 employees we have in Poland, which were part of this community, which every 2 weeks had a presentation from Google, were training together and so forth. At the end, Stanford even wrote a business case about it, because they really liked our approach, how to mobilize a whole organization to think digital. And the same we want to do now again with AI, and we have a so-called digital tribe, I come to it, which are really the digital minds we have, which bring these ideas back into the organization. They get special training, and they are actually invited to many events. And last but not least, we have an innovation platform we call Leonardo, which is a little bit like Facebook. You can submit the solution, and then over different stages, your solution or idea is assessed and then potentially also implemented. So Digital Campus is something which we have invested in to have a continuous development of our teams, and we will more and more invest into that. Right now we have about 2,000 users, so 50% of our Polish team is using it on a daily basis. We have in another country usage of 90% of our digital offerings in education. It's something which really is positive. And I also have to say we have certain trainings which are mandatory for our quality teams. They need every year to do certain education, to go through it, to get certified. Also here, it's with a multitude of digital formats. Then our digital minds. Again, it's about education, it's about inspiration of our teams, and it's about collaboration and gamification of certain ideas. And here you see this one has now 320 members, which are very active, and they're really moving forward in bringing us, also create this pressure, this demand for solutions, which I really like. And then last but not least, Leonardo, and we defined 3 channels where we would like to do a little bit of guided innovation. We wanted 3 distinct areas where they submit their ideas. And we have about 1,000 ideas now, of which we have 40 implemented, and it's a continuous flow of new ideas from the organization. And everybody in the organization can submit and can also get rewarded. We also have a yearly innovation gala where people get recognized for their contributions in their ideas. I think also here, the participation of your employees is key to be successful in implementing new technologies. That's what I believe, and I think we are continuing this process in investing in our people to do that. Now, about 3 years ago, we started really with, as I said, with this new digital strategy. We started in 2024 with a data-first approach, where we invest top-down into a data architecture and data governance aspects very strongly, and I think this hopefully will give us the right solutions then for a larger implementation of AI. And at the end of the day, also, we have local initiatives, like our Polish team is very innovative and advanced, so they also have their own programs where they collect ideas, and I think this really gets us to the right stage. Now, talking about an architecture, also here, I think it's important that you first start with the design of what you really want to achieve. You have to have also your vendors. Obviously, you're not creating your own LLM, so you work with vendors, being it Microsoft or whoever in the world. And basically then the master data discussion, data architecture is important. I think I stand in front of some of the people. Sorry for that, I didn't know that. I can go a little bit on the side here. And then you need a deployment model which I think gives you the elasticity, the flexibility to implement at the speed these solutions are available, and they really pay back, right? So now, to come to the conclusions, and also to tell you where we really implemented AI already in our processes. Obviously, our teams, as I told you, they use ChatGPT, they use Copilot in their normal work. We have implementations for our marketing teams, which use it to get ideas, to get structures, as I did. And I think 2 slides in this presentation also to help me structure. And what we think is we really need the fundamentals, and I think I told you that about that this is really something I believe in, and I think will take us another, I would say, 2 years to get there. I think then we can really accelerate on these large processes to implement AI, and not only in certain solutions which are smaller. And then I think we can really create more value. Now, business case which we implemented in industrial operation, we optimize our whole scheduling of our batches. You can imagine we have 100 production lines in 5 different factories with different formats, from tablets to syringes, from vials to eye drops to whatever, maybe cough syrups, you name it, we produce it. And in this context, I think it's really, really important to optimize the scheduling, right? Because to get the most out of it. Secondly, in research and development, we have automated the response to certain deficiencies which are reported. There's a lot of them, and then I think in this context it's good to automate it. I told you about digital twins in the industrial side. Really strong instruments, and I think here really helps us to succeed. Then pricing, especially on OTC products or the over-the-counter products, where we can freely set a price and don't have to negotiate with the government. I think it's extremely important to optimize these prices against the competition. And you cannot believe, how much value is hidden in a price, how much more profits you can generate if you really understand the consumer behavior in terms of pricing. And here, this is something we do constantly in optimizing our pricing to get basically the maximum value for our stakeholders. And last but not least, supply chains. In pharma, a lot of the active ingredients or base products are produced in Asia. And therefore, you have to plan a lot in advance. And on the other side, you need to optimize your working capital, right? So at the end of the day, it's really a game, how much do you really need in every single step of your supply chain? And obviously you need two sources, because it could be one factory blows up somewhere and then you need a second source for an important product, which is life-saving. So in this context, it's a very complex, call it game you play, in optimizing this. And I think here also it gives us a lot of added value through predictive analytics in this context. Now to summarize, so where do I really see the biggest challenges? I think you need a vision, you need a strategy for AI, what you want to achieve. And you have also to be open and transparent with this to your employees, because you want to have the buy-in from them. Secondly, I need to understand what AI is and what I can do in my company. And it's not actually an advertising for MIT, but when MIT launched a course for AI in pharma and biotechnology, I was the first to sign up. It was an online course, 6 weeks, where you still have to write every weekend a paper, which was graded, by the way. It was actually funny. But it really helped me to understand what is the potential. And I think that's exactly the approach you need to have, that everybody on your senior team understands the potential for his area of AI. Otherwise, it will never fly. Then we need the right resources. And we invested now first, obviously, into our data first project, plus, let's call it the bring up of our digital community, of our teams to the right levels. And you have to understand it's really a transformation of your business. AI is not just a technical solution you put somewhere, it's a shift of mindset. And if people don't make this mind shift change, you will never succeed, because they will stick to their roles, they will not want to change. And AI means change in many ways. I think also the ethical side, the legal side of it, it's important not to forget this, because very quickly you can implement a solution, but did you really think about the repercussions on the legal side, especially when you treat personnel data? And I think you have to experiment, right? Obviously not in your main business, but you need some sort of a campground where you can experiment and learn and bring this back to the teams. And you need obviously a trust that you move on the right way and that people buy into it. So this was it, basically. Thank you very much for your, for being here.